Mr. Muslim. And questions? Okay. So let's start. I wish all of you good morning, and let's start the conference. So once again, good morning, dear colleagues, journalists, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the press conference. We are here today in most serious circumstances. The Turkish invasion in Syria is a serious threat to the security of Europe, and we have to realize it or think of it. If Europe wants to see an end to the terrorist threat of ISIS, or Daesh as we call it, there is only one way forward. We need to support the Syrian democratic forces, who are by every account the most effective force against ISIS. The Syrian democratic forces are the defense force of the democratic self-administration that I have visited myself. The DSA on the Middle East, we all hope to see developing. Kurds, Arabs, and Syrian Christians work together to create a new society in which, for example, women are free and where is democracy and freedom of religion. This is true. I have seen it myself, and with me have seen it other people, including my colleagues amongst MEPs, members of the European Parliament. The DSA does not only defeat ISIS, but also replace it with real governance and a real alternative society. Furthermore, they are prepared to take in the refugees that are now flowing from Syria to Turkey. This means, in short, that Turkey will in time no longer be able to use the refugees in the negotiations with the EU. However, if we allow the Turkish army to destroy the Syrian democratic forces, how can we expect to see ISIS defeated? How then can Syria's indigenous people stay in Syria? Almost all ISIS attacks in Europe were in some way connected to ISIS in Syria. So we need to end the problem at its roots. For this reason, I call on the EU and the US to support the Syrian democratic forces and the democratic self-administration of northern Syria. We need to stop Turkish aggression, and we need to demand that Iraqi Kurdistan opens the borders to the democratic self-administration immediately. I'm glad to be here with my Syriac Christian and Kurdish friends who represent the peoples of Rojava, and I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Saleh Moslim, the co-president of the PYD. Here you are.
Thank you. Good morning, friends, press members. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, because of the short of time, I wouldn't touch all the points longly, but I would like to mention some points. This Turkish invasion to Jarablus and to Rojava and to Syria is not just sudden incident. The Turkish government, they have their project, and they still consider the Rojava and Syria a part of the modern empire according to their mentality. So because of that, they were preparing to do this. And by Daesh, they were supporting Daesh, and we have already some evidences which we can submit it to you as just a file, stating the relations between the ISIS and Turkish government. Everybody wants, we can give it to them. It's already in the media. So because of that, they were using ISIS for this purpose. And when ISIS was failed because of the struggle by Rojava people, Kurdish, Syrian, Arabs all together. So because of that, they were enforced to do it by their hand because Daesh failed to do it. This is the first point. And the second point, they are not targeting only the Kurdish people, as they are mentioning, or to Daesh is completely false, is not right. They are, because the model we have established in Rojava is very democratic model, and it could be a first model example for the Middle East. So because of that, now we can find the relations between the Turkish government, the Syrian regime, and even the Iranians are supporting them. Those all together, they want to collapse this model, not to be model, democratic model for all the Middle East, because already the components we have in Rojava, in Syria, the Syriacs, the Kurds, which are their ancient people, maybe they are living there for thousands of years, the Arabs, they want to collapse this model. And the third point, we are suffering from the embargo in the Rojava area from Turkey, and the other side was ISIS, and the other side our Kurdish brothers from the KRG. So this embargo is since 3 years we are suffering. And the point we would like to mention, already we have some camps which for the displaced people from Syria. We have these camps in Jazira Canton, 2 or 3 camps, one in Shaddade, one in Derik, and the other one is also in Derik for the Arabs displaced from the other places. And also we have a camp for displaced people already in Kobani. In Afrin we have 2 of them. But because there are maybe a number of people living in these camps for the displaced people and refugees, and the only way to, because we didn't get any support to them, just we are sharing what we have in our hand. Nobody is supplying, and even in NGOs, because of this embargo, they cannot pass through, they cannot get the aid to those camps. Already the people are living there, maybe there are thousands and 10,000s of them, other than the displaced and refugees which they are located in the cities living with the people together. The other point I would like to mention is the values we are defending. In Rojava, we have established a model which altogether, I mean, even though for these democratic Syrian forces, we are Syriacs, Kurds, Arabs, we are together, and we are defending the values of Europe. But the stand of the Europe till now, they are not. They didn't help us. They are not, even if they are helping, not in proper way. We are expecting supporting politically, diplomatically, other than the humanitarian aid also, because the only side who is defending the European values, we are doing it. The components of Rojava. The others are Salafis, jihadists, and we are defending the Europe not only by values, also the people. If we are just kind of a dam in front of them, if we allow them, all of them, they will flee to Europe. Already, maybe in Manbij, everybody knows Manbij was a training center for them, for passing way for them to the ISIS state and to Europe. Already, just for your information, approximately between 4,000 and 5,000 people were killed from Daesh in Manbij only, which is, most of them, they were foreigners. They were trained to come to here. So we are defending Europe by anyway. So this is the point. And the other one, only just to mention, we have this urgent appeal for this, a campaign for the signatures. Already we have maybe famous people, and our friends will distribute to you. So if you can be helpful in this way, it will be very, very appreciated. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And now I give the floor to Mr. Vergili.
Thank you so much, Mr. Skripek, for your support of today and eternal support for people of Kozar to Rojava, that you had been visited and experienced true experience of people there. Dear member of media, journalist, and member of the European Parliament, thank you for joining us today with this imminent threat to the people of Syria coming from Turkey. I would like to highlight a few points also during my speech. as we know, following the failed coup d'etat in Turkey, Turkish government with the president of the country, Mr. Erdogan, they are trying to create new discourse in Turkey based on victimization of selves in order to mobilize their forces, which is anti-Western, anti-Christian, which there is no place for minorities, Kurds, and Christian minorities in their discourse, and also the latest attempt to enter Syria and the operation, we can say that the so-called liberation of Jarablus. We saw the pictures and images from the fighters who entered Jarablus. Just they entered like they're going to a picnic in the park of family. And also, I think in a larger picture, it's also to divert attention from internal crackdown on the ongoing dissidents and opposition figure inside Turkey, and also other discussion regarding the death penalty. Today, no media and no international community discuss the human rights abuses and rule of law and freedoms in Turkey. Explains the whole discussion is about Syria and the death penalty. Today, even the simple human rights defenders or even social media activists are arrested and put it in jail. Even yesterday, a linguist who is expert on Turkish language had been detained. So I think in large point this is a new policy of Turkey to create a new history, a new story for themselves. This was also mentioned in their speech that they will create the country from zero. Within this, they need a mythos, they need a mythology, and unfortunately, within this, people of Syria are the victim, and Turkey absolutely has no right to enter Syria. If there is effective forces on the ground to fight ISIS, there is Syrian democratic forces. They are fighting everywhere, and they have right to go everywhere inside Syria. There is no credible or moral discussion to say that Syrian democratic forces has no right to cross the river or to stay on the other side. If Turkey has the right to enter to Syria, Syrian democratic forces, who are the native and on-the-ground forces, have absolutely right, 100% right to cross the river and even taking the water with themselves. Anyway, but I will not repeat the same point with Mr. Skripek and Mrs. Saleh Moslim. I think there is also another very important point which was mentioned during the speech, is the humanitarian issue and the closed border with KRG, which should be opened immediately and unconditionally. I think European Union and European Parliament have the power to play with the KRG officials to put their weight on this issue and to open the border for, especially for trade, humanitarian aid, for the journalists to be able to enter the northern Syria part, and also for political exchange. We know that there are some members of European Parliament try to cross to the Rojava-Gozarto, and they hadn't been able to see the real situation on the ground. And also there is also very crucial issue with it's well known, the liberated areas with Syrian democratic forces are full of mines everywhere. And this goes also to Habur region, which was predominantly inhabited by Syrian Christians. Now it's full with demining. Due to the closing the border, experts and companies couldn't be able to cross and clean the area, which will lead to the returning back of civilians to their areas. Another point is the support from the European Union and European countries regarding the IDPs and refugees in this region, which will ease the discussions here in Europe regarding the refugee migrant crisis and also the threat of ISIS. And in this sense, there is a very urgent demand to support Kurdish, Syriac Christians and Arab forces in the Syrian democratic forces, because up to now they are only effective force who are fighting ISIS and then giving the governance to the local people in every region. In that sense, it's exactly and openly in the European interest to support self-administration and Syrian democratic forces with the refugee crisis, and also with the threat of ISIS, which continue in the region and here in Europe. We saw declarations from United States regarding the Turkish threat in Syria, also from Russia, and we wait the same from the European officials, especially from Madame Mogherini. There was a statement from French presidency, but we want the clear and net statements from also from European Parliament and especially from Madame Mogherini. This is my whole points. Thank you so much again, and please.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to give the floor to the journalists present here to ask your questions. Please state your name, the media you are representing, and to whom you would like to ask the questions. Even after this press conference, my colleagues and I, we are available for one-to-one interviews. Here you are. Yes? Yes?
Hi, my name is Lawrence Norman from the Wall Street Journal. I have a couple of questions. Can you be a little bit clearer on what it is exactly that you want the Europeans to do? And in terms of delivering statements, what is it exactly that you want Ms. Mogherini to say? But beyond that, can you be a little clearer on what action you want taken? And a question for Mr. Muslim. Is it basically your view now that the US is siding with Turkey to try and push, or supporting Turkey's bid to push you to the east of the Euphrates? And if that is the case, what is your reaction? What will the Kurdish forces do?
Yes. Okay. What do we expect is a clear support for democratic self-administration, which is a homeland force. The group of people who are cooperating genuinely and effectively, all the minorities, people of the homeland who decided to govern the abandoned country. They established their parliament, their government, their military force, and what I could see on my own eyes, by my own eyes, was a closed borders. So these people cannot help without help from outside, but they are bravely fighting their fight, and they were able to push out ISIS from huge areas, but no media mentioned it. So I do expect a official support, because this is something we can help to revert the crisis. If we can help the Syriac people, DSA, we can expect that thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, people will come back to liberated areas. They can go back to their homeland. If we are threatened or afraid of this, what we call a migration crisis, so why not to help the people who were able to make a revolution there, defend themselves, and they are prepared to accept all the people coming back?
I'm sorry, but can you be specific? One thing is to put out a statement saying we recognise or we support the autonomous region. That's something that the Europeans have not done to this point, but that's one thing. The second thing is to actually provide help. What help, and I would like to hear that from Mr. Vergili, what help precisely beyond humanitarian are you asking the Europeans to provide?
Thank you for your interest and your questions. Shortly, I would like to mention We were in the war. We are in the war for 6 years, and we have many places are being destroyed. They should be built up, and we have established a system which they have all the institutions could be doing that, but because of this embargo and closed border, we cannot do it. So because of that, we want direct contact with the administration, with the European countries and European Union, instead of doing it through Turkey or through Syrian regime or others, to do it itself. I mean, they can be there and to see what's going on, to be helpful. And because of that, we are just suffering from maybe if you are fighting, your people could be martyred, these normal things. But if you find some injured people, you cannot treat them because there is no medicines. This is very difficult. I mean, we are dying every day just because of lack of treatments. So just because the borders are closed, Europe and others, they can make their project and all the sides, especially this KRG, to open this border, to allow the medicine, to allow the people, to allow the journalists, researchers to go on. So this is what we are expecting from the European country and European Union and all the world, because as I mentioned, we are defending the same values, and there is institutions and the system all already being established in Rojava. The second point I would like to mention now, we are talking about the Kurdish forces, which is the YPG and YPJ, and we are talking about democratic Syrian forces, which contains the Syriacs, Arabs, the others, which they are working very closely to the international alliance against Daesh. So they have a right to go everywhere. For YPG, also they have mentioned 1 week ago they return to their bases and they just give everything in Manbij and the areas to the Manbij Council, Civil Council and Military Council, Jarablus Military Council. So they are, if they are Kurds, they are Manbij's Kurds. If they are Kurds in Jarablus, because we have villages, Kurdish villages in Manbij. We have Kurdish villages in Shahba. We have Kurdish villages even in Azaz and Jarablus. So if they are Kurds, including inside this Manbij council, military council, or Jarablus military council, it means it's their Kurds. They don't belong to YPG. So YPG already, they have announced 1 week ago they are eastern of Euphrates and they are in their bases. It's just excuse. I mean, they are not accepting the system, as I mentioned. They are just trying to collapse this system established between all the components. It's very democratic. But maybe first time you can find 3 languages became official languages in this area. Arabic, Kurdish, and Syriac. It's being taught in the schools. So they are afraid of this model. But they are mentioning, we never asked for dividing Syria, or we are not separatists. We mentioned many, many times, we are part of Syria and we are looking for Syria. As our friend David mentioned, I mean, those first democratic Syrian forces, they are Syrian forces. They don't accept any red line to be put in front of them by any side, and they have right to even to liberate Damascus, liberate everywhere in Syria, because they are Syrian forces. But the others have no right to pass and put the red lines in front of them. Well, thank you.
Syria.
Yeah. Regarding the expectation from EU and especially from Madame Mogherini is that to state their support to Syrian democratic forces regarding their fight with ISIS, and especially the threat that Turkey poses to these forces, to Syrian democratic forces. If really Turkey wants to fight ISIS, then it can do it with the full contact and coordination with international coalition against ISIS. We know that there was also difficulties in this point, and there was no full coordination regarding Turkish invasion in Syria. This, indeed, in that sense, we clear support for the fight against ISIS and effective force, which is Syrian democratic forces. And regarding the humanitarian aid, it will be, I know it will be a very vague statement, but actually in these liberated areas, people need everything, from reconstruction, daily need of civilians. It can go from babies to elder people. Even it's really difficult to find baby milk for children. And in the summer days, it's really difficult also to find water. I mean, it can be really, ununderstandable for us living here, but very basic needs in that areas are in need, and especially in the camps in this region. There are many Yazidis who fled Iraq in that camps, and especially also reconstructions. We know that almost all liberated areas are demolished by ISIS. Reconstruction and stabilization also is very urgent in order to be able to people, inhabitants, to return back to their areas.
Thank you. Yeah, here you go.
One point. There is just one point I want to mention. Now, I said there is a document which could be submitted to you for this relation between Daesh and the Turkish government. This is one. Secondly, mainly, many times we have heard from the Turkish government that they are victims of Daesh. I would like to say Daesh never done anything against the Turkish government. All they have done, destroyed all Rojava. This is one. And secondly, Daesh also used by the Turkish government inside Turkey. All the targets which was done, destroyed by Daesh or done by Daesh, it's Kurdish targets, except one. It was the airport. The airport, those people who has done in the airport, according to the media of Turkey, they came from outside. It was a kind of punishment for the government. From Daesh from outside, not from inside Turkey. But already the people are working with Daesh are being used by the government against the Kurdish targets. You can remember Suruç explosion, you can remember Diyarbakir explosion, you can remember Ankara explosions, all of them done by Daesh, but in direction with the Turkish government. So Daesh is used by Turkish government, and when they failed, they are trying to do it by themselves, like in Jarablus and other places. Well, the document is ready. Who wants it, we can give it to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Here you are.
I'd like to know the state of the border now between Rojava and the Iraq Kurdistan. Is it closed? Because when I came there, it was open sometimes, closed sometimes. What is the situation now?
Okay.
It depends on the KDP's mood, really. Sometimes they open it, sometimes they close it, and recently they have opened it just for their traders to sell something in Rojava. Otherwise it's closed. They don't leave the politicians. Now we have our friends, they want to come out. Some of them, they want to go in. Maybe since one month they are waiting, no pass for everybody. Journalists are not allowed to go in. And the aid done by the others, it's not allowed. Maybe sometimes this gate is used for other purposes by the Americans or by some aids they want to do. Otherwise it's closed.
Yes, here you are. I think you were first.
Maxime Azadi, de la chaîne de télévision Kurde. I have a question for Mr. Saleh Moslim, but I think this is finished. Ce sera donc en Türkçe. Ben Türkçe soruyu soracağım. Mümkünse Türkçe cevap verebilir misiniz? Önce onu söyleyeyim. O zaman tamam. Bu Türkiye'nin Rojava yönelik, daha doğrusu Cerablus'a yönelik bir saldırısı oldu. Siz bunu başta bunu nasıl değerlendiriyorsunuz? İkincisi, uluslararası koalisyon güçleri ki aynı zamanda Kürt güçleriyle ortak hareket ediyor Rojava'da. Türkiye'nin bu saldırısına onay verdi mi? Limiti neydi? Bu ikinci soru. Aynı zamanda Türkiye 2 gün önce yapılan bir ateşkes vardı. Demokratik Suriye güçleri ve Türkiye arasında, ancak Türkiye herhangi bir ateşkes yapmadıklarını ve yapmayacaklarını ifade etti ama fiili bir durum var şu anda. Bunu nasıl yorumluyorsunuz? Şu an durum nedir? Son olarak Kürt kantonları birleşecek mi? Türkiye'nin bu saldırılarına
Can
rağmen.
you give us a short, I would like to ask for a short translation of the question.
Yeah. Could I do it in English
Yes, please.
or in Turkish? Because
I will do translation for the questions, then you can.
okay.
Just one question with 4 points. The first one is regarding Turkish attempt in Jarablus. How to qualify this? And the second one, whether there was an accord with the coalition regarding Jarablus, and what about the ceasefire that reached with Jarablus Military Council? There was a statement from Turkish President spokesman there. There was no statement in that sense. And the latest one is whether the cantons of Kobane and Afrin will be liberated and teaching together.
I think I prefer to answer in English. It will be better. The aims of the Turkish invasion already we have explained. I don't need to do it. But for this recent ceasefire, it's not ceasefire. It's stopping. I mean, it's kind of cessation, not stopping the using the force between two sides, and it's between the Jarablus military council and the Turkish government. It's nothing to do with the YPG or Democratic Syrian Forces. All is just part of it. It's Jarablus military council. For connecting Rojava, I think we are talking about Shahba and all this area from Jarablus to Afrin. Well, let's liberate those people first, and then the people will decide to be part of this Rojava Federation or Rojava administration, but the people should be liberated first from Daesh and also the other mentality of Daesh, which we have now, all these groups who are accompanying Turkey for this invasion, and they are not different from Daesh, and even some of Daesh people, they just changed their clothes and the name. They are Ahrar Sham, they are Jabhatun Nusra, and the others all together is the same mentality. So just let this area to be liberated, and then the people can decide, as happened in Mungush, in Tel Abyad and the other places, because we have civil councils. They can arrange for election, for whatever it is, and the people will decide to be part of it or to be connected or not. But first, those people should be liberated. Thank you.
So this is the last question here, or?
Thank you very much. I am not a journalist. My name is Salih. I am a member of this parliament. Thank you very much for this conference. I would like to know what is exactly the relationship of your organizations with the Syrian regime, with the Syrian authorities. I mean, I suppose it was a matter of conflict, but don't you? I will go just a bit further. Don't you think that as your common enemy is ISIS or Daesh, whatever it be, can there be some arrangement between the regime and your organization in the future? Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We are in the revolution since 6 years, and our place is very clear to everybody. We were fighting against the regime from the beginning, but nobody talked. They want sometimes they have to veil it. I mean, they have done it, but now everything is clear. The recent clashes in Hasaka and the other places very close. I mean, very clear which side we are. Till now, we were not fighting. Our forces and our institutions in this area is only for defending the people, defending our areas. If we have not been attacked by the others, we wouldn't attack anybody. And we are